What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel where we read the news so you don't have to, because basically, most news articles today read like a group project written at 3 a.m. by a student who didn't even read the assignment. Today's episode, Nicki Minaj went to the United Nations and gave a speech about Nigerians getting killed for their faith. Yes, the woman who gave us Anaconda is now giving us geopolitical advocacy. And she instantly triggered Rolling Stone, the BBC, and half of Twitter into a synchronized meltdown usually reserved for celebrity divorces. If you read the news, you would think she walked into the UN, slapped the diplomat, and declared herself the Queen of Wakanda. But what actually happened? Well, Nicki Minaj walked into the UN as if she was about to drop a diss track on global injustice. She stepped up, nervous, and basically said, "Hi, I'm here to do literally the bare minimum. Say murder is bad." She thanked Ambassador Waltz and Donald Trump, because when you want to ensure the internet detonates like a cheap firework, you say thank you and Trump in the same sentence. Then Nicki dropped this bar that actually makes sense.
Religious freedom means we all can sing our faith regardless of who we are.
A beautiful line, inspirational, universal, also the greatest metaphor ever delivered by someone whose beefs are more popular than some of her songs. She talked about church attacks in Nigeria, people being killed, and pastors being abducted. And then she turned to her fans, the Babs. This is when I knew she was serious, because Nicki told the Babs,
"This isn't about taking sides."
Yes, when your fans share the same name with a feminist propaganda movie, they definitely need to be reminded that everything is not about politics. But then the media woke up. Rolling Stone read her speech and basically said, "Wrong, incorrect, delete, try again." They accused Nicki of spreading misleading information because a religious war is not happening in Nigeria. It is a resource dispute. This is just climate change. The bandits are just stressed about water rights. Rolling Stone's argument is basically, yes, churches are being attacked. Yes, people are being killed. Yes, pastors are being kidnapped. But these incidents are just squabbles over scarce land resources. It's nothing religious. Oh, absolutely. Nothing says resource conflict like interrupting choir practice with an AK-47. Rolling Stone could watch a terrorist kneel on the altar, shout, "All Christians must die," and they will still write, "Experts say this was likely a dispute over farmland." And then the BBC joined the chat. If Rolling Stone was irritated, the BBC was offended. They published an article basically crying, "Nicki Minaj supports contested Trump claim about Christians being persecuted in Nigeria." Yes, contested, because the idea that Christians in Nigeria are being targeted is just a narrative, a simplification. Then out of nowhere, the BBC says, remember her COVID vaccine tweet? Yes, the one about swollen testicles. Guys, we are talking about terrorism. Why are you mentioning a rapper's cousin's friend's left testicle? BBC readers didn't ask for that. The victims of the attack didn't ask for that. Even the testicles didn't ask for that. But just when you think the BBC can't derail the topic any harder, they bring up Cardi B. I mean, what does Nicki's feud with Cardi B have to do with Christians being murdered? Did the terrorists ask for a rap battle? This is only relevant to those who think geopolitics is just love and hip-hop with nukes. The BBC and Rolling Stone cite so-called analysts and the Nigerian government whose main hobby is denying anything that might trigger sanctions. But they conveniently forgot to check the numbers from people who actually track this stuff. According to Open Doors, an NGO that actually tracks persecution,
more Christians are killed in Nigeria than in all the other countries of the world combined.
That's not a resource dispute, that's a statistic that should terrify you. And here's the media's favorite but dumbest argument. Muslims are also victims, so Christians can be targeted. Imagine telling a jury, yes, the victim was stabbed 14 times, but other people in town got stabbed too, so clearly it wasn't personal. I mean, terrorists can want to steal land and eradicate Christianity. It's called multitasking. They are evil, not lazy. And speaking of misleading, here's a specific event the BBC tries to water down like cheap soup. This happened on Tuesday, November 18, 2025, in Kwara State. Terrorists stormed the church during a worship service on live stream, killed 3 worshippers, kidnapped the pastor and more, stole their belongings, terrorized the town for weeks. Schools are closed. The government does nothing. But the BBC sees all this and goes, yes, very tragic resource conflict, nothing too deep. Sir, they attacked worshippers in the church. What resource were they competing for? The choir? But here's where it gets ridiculously ironic. The BBC tries to discredit Nicki Minaj while the BBC itself literally doctored Trump's January 6th speech in editing. They cut it, rearranged it, made it say something it didn't, got caught, apologized, 2 editors resigned, and Trump threatened a lawsuit. But sure, Nicki Minaj is the one who needs credibility check, like she's testifying before Congress. Rolling Stone is no better. They quote ACLED and CFR like holy scripture, ignore open doors and inter-society, and act like the Nigerian government have never lied in its entire existence. Yes, the same Nigerian government that denies everything from inflation to oxygen. Meanwhile, the actual victims, still dead, still missing, still ignored. Nicki didn't lie. She didn't exaggerate. She didn't cause harm. She said what the media refused to say. Some people in Nigeria are dying because they are Christian. Period. You don't have to like Nicki Minaj. You don't have to like Donald Trump. You can think Super Freaky Girl is a masterpiece or a crime against creativity. But when the media spends more energy fact-checking a rapper's biography than they do investigating the murder of worshippers on a live stream, they aren't reporting the news. They are managing the narrative. Nicki Minaj said,
I will care.
Maybe the BBC should try doing the same.